Here's a video walking through example number 2. So given the line DA is tangent to circle P at point A, and the measure of arc AB to the measure of arc of BC to the measure of try saying that 10 times fast. Measure of arc CA is 2 to 3 to 4. Determine the measure of angle ABE. So we want to be really careful here, because when I go to label what I'm trying to look for, the measure of ABE is going to be right here. One of the most common things that people will assume is that's going to be half of the arc, but it's not, because this is a secant line, not tangent. So in order to say that, it has to be tangent and a secant. These are actually two secants. So I kind of get stuck there because I can't just find this arc and be done with it. We have to think of another way to get to that angle. So we want to think of other relationships we have. So I'm going to go back through. I know what I'm looking for. I'm labeling that. I know it's going to be the measure of an angle. So it's going to be degrees or radians. It doesn't really specify, so stick with degrees. And now I'm going to go back and label everything. So the measure of AB, arc AB is right here, is going to correspond with that 2. So I'm actually just going to label this 2x. Then measure of BC, arc BC, right here, which corresponds to that 3. So I'm going to make that 3x. And then last but not least, the measure of arc CA. And I'm going to label that 4x. So I look at everything that I just labeled, and if I add those all up together, I know it has to make the entire circle because nothing was left out. So now I'm going to be able to solve for x by saying 4x plus 3x plus 2x is going to be an entire circle, which is 360. So if I add these up together, 3 plus 4 is 7, 9x equals 36, which means x has to equal 40. And now I can find all of those measures by just doing 40 times whatever value it was. So 4 times 40 is 160. 3x is going to be 120 degrees. And then 2 times 40 is 80 degrees. Okay, so now I'm back to my original issue, because I can't just take half of 80, which is 40, because this is a secant, not a tangent. So being really careful not to make that assumption that it's always half. So if I look, the only other relationship I see with this angle is angle CBA, which I'm going to call Y. If I look at CBA, I can actually see, since it's an inscribed angle, that it's going to be half of arc CA. Sometimes that gets challenging to see, especially as we have more secants and tangents and chords going on. So one of the strategies that you can use is using Post-its or note cards or whatever you have to kind of block off everything else. So if I align those on, boom, and put the other one there, so I can actually see what's left of the circle. I'm not distracted by everything else. So I know this is going to be half of that angle that we just found, which was 160. So now I know that's 80 degrees. Okay, so just a strategy that's going to prove, that has proved pretty helpful in the past. So I take those away to figure out the rest. I know that this is 80 and it's supplementary to the angle that I'm actually looking for. So the measure of angle ABE is going to be 180 minus 80. Since it's supplementary, we can assume straight lines. So that's 100 degrees. So the measure of ABE is 100 degrees.